Hey, hi. Today we're gonna do test 69 game 3. This is honestly probably one of my favorite games. I don't know why, nothing special with it. It's just fun, I guess. And like the worlds that we build are relatively complete. So it's very satisfying because you kind of have all the answers right there. But as always, if you have any questions about the game, the setup, anything that I don't go over, or if I go too fast on, please reach out to me and let me know. And I can certainly do that and get you, what am I doing? Oh, this one. And help you out in any way I can. So get my pen all set up. So like I said, we're doing 69 game 3. This is the school one with the juice and the snacks. So our prompt says a company operates vending machines in 4 schools. So we have F, G, H, and I. So I'm just going to write that down. Schools, we have F, G, H, I. The company delivers juices in one of its 2 trucks and snacks in the other truck. So we have these 2 trucks. One is juices, one is snacks. Each week, exactly 1 delivery of juices and exactly 1 delivery of snacks is made to each school. Okay, so basically what we're doing is we're doing like I guess you'd call it a double ordering game, because what we're trying to figure out is what order do the snacks get delivered in, what order do the juices get delivered in. So I'll do this: SC for school, SN for snacks, and then we have our juices. So as far as a setup goes, it's not very clear, or at least in my opinion, when I first did this game, it's kind of a little different. It's not as obvious what how we should set this up. So to set this up, and probably the easiest way is to treat it like a double sequencing game. So we have 4 variables for schools basically. So I'm going to have 4 spots, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to treat row 1 as my snacks, row 2 as my juices. So I'm going to have snacks up here, juices down below, and I'm going to have my spots here. So my variables actually become my schools. So for instance, when I'm putting my variables down, let's say we have F, G, H, and I know that F is delivered first for snacks, G is delivered second for snacks, and then we'll do the same thing down here. So we'll use our variables twice basically, but not in the sense that like they are connected in any way. Like we're not having, if that makes sense. So like school for juice, school for snacks are the same thing. I think I'm just making it more difficult and complicated, so I'm just going to stop talking. So this is what our diagram is going to look like. We're going to have a double sequencing game, and I'm going to rewrite our variables up here. We have F, G, H, and I. And like I said, we're going to have 2 of them, so we're going to duplicate our variables. I'm not going to duplicate my variables up there per se, because I'm not like having, I don't have F happening twice on the snack line or anything like that. I know that I can only repeat them once on each line. That's what I'm trying to get across. So let's go into our rules. Our first rule says snacks must be delivered to F at some time before they're delivered to H. So this is really good because it kind of isolates the 2 categories, our 2 groups, S and J. So we're just focusing on our snack line. So for the purpose of this rule, I'm just focusing on this one line. And we know that F must deliver sometime before H. So I'm going to write over here F before H, and I'm putting it in line with that snack because it's not necessary that F has to be before H in my J line. It's just my snack line. So I'm just going to kind of keep it in line with my snacks. That way I know which group it's going to. So that's my first rule. I guess I can write a 1 up here. Rule number 2 says G cannot be the 4th school to which juices are delivered. Pretty simple rule. It's just telling me where G cannot go. We know G can't go in that 4th spot for J. When I'm writing where variables can and can't go, something like this, like where I'm putting it in the lines, I'm just going to put it underneath it. You can put it on top of it if you want, but I'm not going to put it up here because to me, at least, that's telling me G can't go in 4 for all of these. So because it's specific to juices, I'm just going to kind of tuck it in with the juices, so I'm not getting it mixed up with my snacks. Rule number 3 says G must be the third school to which snacks are delivered. Super easy rule. I love rules like this. It's just telling me where a variable has to go. I know G has to go in that third spot for snacks, which is great. Now, our last rule is kind of where they combine the two, or they're mushing the two categories together. So it says the first school to which juices are delivered must be the fourth one to which snacks are delivered. So we have to make sure that there's this, like our variable is in the same spot. If we put G in J1, then we'll have to put G in S4, basically. So I'm a very visual person. And if I write out that J1 has to equal S4, this really means nothing to me. This isn't going to help me in any way, because I'm still going to have to go, okay, who do I have in J1? I'm going to have to make sure I'm putting it in S4. So in that case, I'm just going to kind of do something like this. That way, when I put a variable down, like let's say I put H down here, I can follow my line, or my eyes can follow this line that I've created. I can just drop it down where my other end is. So to me, that's just a more visual way of writing that rule, and it helps me a little bit better than that would have. Okay. Those are our rules. I don't really have anything else. It doesn't create any good starting points, I guess you could say. Well, there's a starting point, but it's not like it's creating anything set in stone. I don't have a whole lot kind of going. It's more abstract. So for example, like our juices, we really don't know anything about our juices, except in regards to juice 1 is going to be snack 4, and we can't have G in 4. So I really know nothing about J. So my instinct is to start with this first rule. We know F has to go before H, and because G is in this third spot, it restricts this rule quite a bit. So if I pick one of our variables, I'm going to try to eliminate the rule by placing it in all the places that it can go in and kind of see what happens. So if I'm trying to eliminate this rule, I'm going to start by picking one of my variables within that rule and see where it can go. You could start with F, you could start with H, really doesn't matter. I'm going to start with F just because it's the first variable. And based on the rule that F has to go before H, there's only 2 spots where F can go. F can go in either 1 or 2. Can't go in 3 because G is there, and it can't go in 4 because I have to have a space for H after it. So I'm going to break this up into 2 worlds. So in one of my worlds, I'm going to put F in 1, and one of them I'm going to put F in 2. And those are the only 2 places that F can go. So I don't have to think about that F anymore on my snack line, which is nice. I'm going to apply the rest of the rule. So I'm going to start with the second world, because if F has to go before H, H has to go in that 4th spot. And if I'm following that line, that means I can just plop H right here. And to make it less crowded, I'm just going to erase that. So I have to plop H right there. That's just how it goes. Now up here, I have a couple of different spaces that H can go in. H can go in 2 or H can go in 4. Typically, what I would do is probably something like this. The reason why I'm not going to do that right now is because whatever goes in that 4th spot is going to go down here. And I mean, I guess we could go that route of doing a flip-flop down there, but I want it to be a little more solid. I want to have a little better of an idea of what could go there. So just for the sake of clarity, I'm going to split that up. If you want to do the slashes, that's fine. And then if you go into your questions and you need to write it out more, you certainly can. I'm going to write it out to the side just for clarity. And again, it's taking me like 10 seconds to make duplicates, so it really shouldn't be that big of a deal if you do make a duplicate. So I'm gonna put H there, I here, I'm gonna flip them, H here, I here. Whatever's in that 4th spot, I'm gonna drop in J1. Now I don't have to think about that rule anymore. And I can also look at that second rule or second world and fill up my snack line because I've used F, G, and H. I only have I left over. So I'm going to just drop I in there. This is why I like this game. My first row is completely filled. Like, it's great. I love it. And as far as my juice row, I mean, we really can't do a whole lot with it. What we could do is we know that G can't go in that fourth spot. And J1 is either going to be I or H. So that means that G only has the option of going in 2 or 3. You can write it like this. You can write it like this. You could break it up and do one where J or G is in 2, G is in 3. I prefer this way so I can be reminded that that G has 2 spaces it could go in. And my remaining variables, whatever I have not put in there, are going to become floaters, which means that they can go in any empty spot. It's not going to violate anything. So for example, in my first world, I've got I, I've got G relatively placed. I haven't touched F or H down here. So F and H can go wherever they want down in that juice spot. In world number 3, I've touched on H and G, which means I have F and I left over. They can go in any empty spot that I have there. And same thing down in 2, I've touched on H and I've touched on G, which means that F and I are my floaters here. I can do whatever they want and not violate the game. And that's pretty much the game. So this is one of those games where your diagrams are not going to be full. You've got to get comfortable with that because it's just going to become really long and time consuming if you do break out every single world into every single, where you know where every single variable is. It's just not realistic. It's not possible to do it within that time constraint. So this is what we got to work off of. If we need to, we'll fill in some stuff as we go through the questions, but there's only about 6 questions. So I can't imagine it'll be too hard, especially if we can just mentally do some stuff. So we will go into the questions. Okay, we'll just do this. So our first question is a list question. And for list questions, I don't like using my diagram. We can if we want to, but it's very time consuming, especially if you've created anywhere from, okay, come on. Well, that's okay. Anywhere from like 5 to 8, it can be very time consuming. So we're just going to go off of the rules, which means that we're going to go through each one of our rules. We're going to go through each one of our answer choices and make sure our answer choices are abiding by our rules, because the answer choices in this type of question, this list question, is not going to, our wrong answer choices are going to violate those rules. So it's very easy to just go through them rule by rule. So first rule says S must be delivered, or snacks must be delivered to F sometime before they are delivered to H. So I'm going to go through each of our answer choices and make sure that F is before H on snacks, which kind of sucks because we flipped our variables. So I had snacks on top, juice on bottom. They're having juice on top, snacks on bottom. So we got to make sure that we don't mix them up. They're going to be the same anyway. We just got to make sure we don't mix them up. So for snacks, FH, FH. Oh, that eliminates C. FH, FH. So we've eliminated C. Rule number 2 says G cannot be the fourth school to which juices are delivered. So I'm going to go through my juices line and eliminate the ones where I have G as 4, which eliminates B. And that's it. Next one says G must be the third school to which snacks are delivered. So on my snack line, I'm going to make sure G is third. We're good there. That eliminates D. We're good with E. And then our last rule, the first school to which juices are delivered must be the fourth one to which snacks are delivered. And that's going to eliminate E. So first juice, last snack, they're not the same. I can eliminate that. So my answer choice is going to be A. If we were to use our diagram, or in the way that I would recommend you use your diagram for this kind of question, is to just verify that you have the diagram to begin with. So I'm looking for a snack line with FIGH. That's happening right here. And we can make that juice line happen because G can hop on over to 3 and F and I can go wherever they want. So we have that diagram there. Our next one says, if F is the fourth school to which juices are delivered, which one of the following must be true? So it's giving me an if question, which means that it's only restricting me to when H is the fourth school for juices. So I'm going to look in the diagrams to where I can have H be that fourth school for juices. I have the hiccups now. That looks like it can only happen in that first world. I can plop H here. If I plop H there, that means G is going to switch with F. So which one of the following must be true? Must be true means that it's set in stone. So I'm not going to expect anything with G and F on the juice line. Everything else is pretty set in stone. So we're going to look for something like that. F is the second school to which juices are delivered. Nope, I already said G and F can flip-flop between that juice line. So wrong. Does not have to be true. Could be true, does not have to be true. G is the third school to which juices are delivered. Same reasoning, G can flip between 2 and 3, so it does not have to be true. F is the second school to which snacks are delivered. No, F is going to be my first school. Wrong. H is the second school to which snacks are delivered. I like that one. I have that as a possibility. Let's check on E. I is the first school to which snacks are delivered. Nope, it's going to be F. So you need to make sure that you're going to the right line, because if I didn't, I is the first school for juices, but it's talking about snacks down here. So make sure you're going in the right line. So that's leaving me with my answer choice of D. Okay. Next one says, if I is the third school to which juices are delivered, which one of the following could be true? So first thing first, I'm going to figure out which worlds I can be delivered third for juice. That can happen in 2 and that can happen in 3. So I'm just going to put it in there. I is the third one. I is the third one. That means G is going to be in that spot. And what do we have left? F is going to go in that fourth spot. So which one of the following could be true? So it's going to be something that does not have to be true. It could be one of our must be trues, but it just has to happen once. It's all we need to know for our could be true. So could it be true that juices are delivered to G sometime before H? So in my second line, could I have G before H? Nope. H is always going to be before G, so this is wrong. J, juices are delivered to I at some time before they are delivered to H. Nope, that's wrong, because actually, I'm just now noticing this. H is always going to be first. Nothing can come before H and J in our J line. Snacks are delivered to F at some time before they are delivered to I. That could happen. They're flipping up here, well, they're flipping between these two, but it could happen up here that F is before I, so I like that one. Snacks are delivered to G at some time before they are delivered to I. Nope. I is always going to become before G in that snack line. Snacks are delivered to H at some time before they are delivered to G. Nope. G is always going to go before H in our snack line. So that leaves me with my answer of C. Oh, okay. Our next one says, if I is the first school to which snacks are delivered, then which one of the following could be true? So I is the first school to which snacks are delivered. Where does that happen? That's my first thing I'm going to try to figure out. That happens here. I is the first one for snacks. And we're looking for something that could be true. A quick tip for could be trues. Well, it has to happen once in order for it to be correct. Most often our could be trues are going to talk about our variables that are switching between each other or that are floaters. So I'm honestly expecting the answer choice to have something to do with our F and I floaters. and our G flip-flopping between 2 and 3 on that last line. Doesn't mean that it has to be, but that's kind of what I'm expecting. So answer choice A says F is the second school to which juices are delivered. I just kind of predicted that because that includes our F as our floater. Could be in that second spot. We could have G in that third spot and I in that fourth spot. So I like this rule or this answer choice. The next one says H is the second school to which juices are delivered. Nope, it actually has to be our first school. So that's wrong. H is the third school to which juices are delivered. Okay, we just talked about that. H has to be the first one. So that's wrong. I is the first school to which juices are delivered. Just talked about that. H has to be the first one. So that's wrong. H is the second school to which snacks are delivered. Nope, doesn't have to be true. That or cannot be true. It actually has to be fourth in that snack line. So our prediction was fairly correct. It did talk about the F in that second row. So that at least will get your mind thinking about what could be true. It's always going to usually refer to our floaters or a variable that's flipping back and forth. Next one says, which one of the following could be true? So answer choice, or so I should say, it's not giving me an if, so that means that it can happen in any three of those worlds. And it just has to happen once for it to be our correct answer choice. So when I go through my answer choices, I'm asking myself, can I make this happen? So answer choice A says both juices and snacks are delivered to G at some time before they are delivered to F. Can I make that happen? I can't make that happen because, well, first we're talking about both the juices and the snacks. So we have to look at both lines. And just looking at our snack line, which is the most full in all of our worlds, F is always before G. So I can never have G before F. So I don't even have to look at my J line. I know that that one is wrong. B says both juices and snacks are delivered to G at some time before they are delivered to I. Could that be true? So I'm looking at my snack line first because, again, that's the most full one. I'm looking at this one because I could have G before I in that world in my snack line, but I can't have it happen down here because I is going to be my first one. So that one is wrong. Oh, and I should also say in the other two worlds, I is before G. So I can't make it that both of them are going to have this happen. That's wrong. Okay. Both J and S are delivered to H at some time before they are delivered to I. Can I make that happen? Well, in 2 and 3, I is going to be before H in that snack line, so I don't have to worry about them. But in this one, it does happen up here. H is before I, but again, I is before anything else, so I can't make it so H is before I. So because we're looking at both those lines, this one is wrong. I can't make that happen in both of them. D says both juices and snacks are delivered to I at some time before they are delivered to F. Can I make that happen? Okay, that eliminates first world, eliminates second world or third world. I can't have that happen here because I can have I before F. And I can make it happen down here too. I could simply put in G here and I and F here and make it so I is before F in both of my lines. So I like this one so far because I can make it happen. And last question, both J and S are delivered to I at some time before they are delivered to H. So I'm looking at my snack line. Can't do that here. I can do that here and I can do that here. But again, with that H, with our J1, H is in that J1 spot. So I would not be able to make I before H. And we have to make sure that we're looking at both lines. So that leaves me with answer choice D. And I think that is our last question. Oh no, we have one more. Oh, it's like a fly. Okay. Substitute questions are, I think I've gone over this before. Substitute questions are not worth your time if you're not getting near perfect on your tests. They're worth 1 point. They can take you up to 5 minutes. So it's not worth it to spend 5 minutes on a question that's going to be worth 1 point. You can spend 5 minutes on your setup for your next game and get way more points from it. So, but we'll go over this one. So which one of the following, if substituted for the condition that G cannot be the fourth school to which juices are delivered, would have the same effect in determining the delivery schedule? Okay, so this substitute question, I'm thinking of a couple of things. First off, when we do substitute questions, we need to make sure that we're creating the exact same diagrams. When we're substituting something, it means that we can't have any new diagrams. We can't have any old diagrams eliminated. So we have to substitute exactly, like the three little bears, exactly perfect. So we have two phases to go over for substitute questions. Phase one is making sure that, or eliminating our answer choices that do not have to be true in our current diagrams. So for example, we'll go through each of our answer choices, and if there is something that does not have to be true, so if it's creating a new diagram, or if it's preventing me from using one of my diagrams, it's going to be a wrong answer because it's not substituting it completely. So answer choice A, F must be either the second or the fourth school to which juices are delivered. Does that have to be true? Does not have to be true, because if I'm looking at juices, I'm looking at that first world, I can put F, maybe. I can put F in that third spot, G in that second spot, and H in that fourth spot. So because it does not have to be true, if I picked answer choice A, it would mean that I would lose this diagram. I wouldn't be able to use it. Same thing happens here. I could put F here, I could put I here, same thing happens here, F, G, I. It would mean I would lose all of these diagrams, these three diagrams. I wouldn't be able to use them anymore. So because it's not substituting it exactly, it's restricting it too much, it's not my answer choice. And I'm going to do this. There we go. Okay. B, G must be either the second or the third school to which juices are delivered. That has to be true according to my diagrams. G is only allowed to be in that second or third spot. And I'm kind of liking that answer choice. And I'll go over why I'm liking it. But this, it has to be true. It's not creating any new diagrams. It's not creating any old diagrams. So I like B so far. Answer choice C, H must be either the first or the fourth school to which juices are delivered. Does not have to be true. I could put H in that third spot, G here, F here. And because that's a valid diagram based off of my original rule, if I had picked C, that means I would not be able to use that diagram because it wouldn't be valid. H would be in that third spot and it wouldn't be allowed to be in that third spot, basically. So because it does not have to be true, we can easily eliminate that answer choice. D, the first school to which juices are delivered must be either F or I. Wait, am I reading that right? Okay, I am, because the reason why I was questioning it is I don't even have a world where F is in that first juice spot. It's just kind of weird. But because that doesn't have to be true, it means that it's wrong again, because I could have H be in that first spot for juices. And if I had picked D, it would mean that I wouldn't even be able to use any of this stuff because H would be in that first spot. I'd only be able to use this diagram as a working diagram. So because it doesn't have to be true, means that it's wrong. Okay, there. And last one says the fourth school to which juices are delivered must be H or I. Does not have to be true. I could put F in that fourth spot. I could put F here. I could put F here. And so because it's creating a further restriction, it means that it can't be true, or it's not our answer choice. So this is a substitute question that I actually, it's one of the easier ones because you can go through phase one and get the right answer choice without having to go through phase two. Phase two is what trips up a lot of people. So phase two is where we think about what the original rule is, how it interacts with the other rules, and what it's forcing our diagram to do. I will explain why the answer choice is correct, but I want to be sure that I'm clear in that we cannot attack these substitute questions by just going over what if it has to be true or not. In some substitute questions, you may have 3 answer choices that must be true, but there's only one question or one answer choice that's going to substitute it. So because because this answer choice or this question is fairly easy, take it, and you can at least go through this. If you have the 2 minutes to spare at the end of your section, you could easily get this one within 2 minutes. Answer choice B is correct, because if we go into phase 2 and we think about what the original rule is forcing happen. So for example, our original rule, I usually like to write my original rule, is G cannot be in that 4th spot. We can't have G in that 4th spot. If we think about how it interacts with our other, or what it forces it to happen, is it's forcing G to go in spots 2 or 3. The reason why it's forcing G to go in spots 2 or 3 is because of 2 additional rules, which is G is our 3rd variable in our snack line, and the rule that says our snack and our juice have to be the same in that 4th and 1st spot. So if we think about it, if we think about just this rule in general, we said G can't be 4th. Technically, without thinking about these other 2 rules, I could put G in 1 if I wanted to. That could be a valid situation, but because of the way that the other rules interact with this rule in particular, it's forcing it to only go between 2 and 3, because I cannot have G be in that 4th spot on my snack line, because it is forced to go into that 3rd spot. This is what I call the mush phase. So if this makes like 0 sense to you, or something's just not clicking, totally fine. This is really complicated to understand. But I do think this is one of the easier games where if you are struggling with that, this is a good game to kind of try to get your grasp on it, because it's a little more clear or a little bit easier to see than some of the other substitute questions. So just to recap, phase 2 confirms B is our answer choice because of our other rules that interact with it. If G is in that 3rd spot in S3 in our snack line, it cannot be in that 4th spot, which means it can't be in J1. So technically, G can't go in 1, can't go in 4, which is why we're forced to put G in 2 and 3. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, give it time. If you are at the point where you're getting everything else correct except these substitute questions, and this is not making sense, then we can go over it and we can talk more about it, about substitute questions and how to attack them. But for the time being, if you're still starting out, if you are still missing some of the easier questions or the more common questions, like our could be trues, must be trues, cannot happen, stuff like that, focus on those. Those are the lower hanging fruit. So if you have any questions about the setup on this game in general, please reach out. But other than that, that's the game. Good luck. Hopefully this helps you.